Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd news that has happened over the past week since our last show last Tuesday. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook as a cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter on Twitter, a couple of other places doing other things in this world. Joining me tonight, the grimace.
Go on.
The grimace to my whatever. Anyway, Greg, introduce yourself if you would.
All right. Evening, everybody. Greg Snyder, aka Wonder Llama Photography, and fortunately, recently back in Wonder Llama cosplay. It's been a hot minute since I've done any cosplay. But yeah, had a good time at Fan Expo Boston. Debuted Blackbeard from Our Flag Means Death. Obviously, the beard was not purple at the time.
This is his cousin Grapebeard.
But
Thank
okay.
you. We'll be here all week.
I hope we got a good crowd out there this evening. You can also find me at Red Raven, our photo studio just outside of Boston. And if you're looking for me online, if you look for Wonder Llama Photo, you'll probably bump into me.
Which would be why it actually says in its name tag on Zoom here, Red Raven, in case you were wondering about that.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
You just call it red.
Or purple. Or, split the difference, magenta. Anyway, so before we get into our first topic, and we got some pretty interesting things to talk about, we're going to do our first promo, which is a request that you might, if you are of a mind, check us out on Twitch. That URL on your screen right now, twitch.tv/nerdcaliber, is where you find us if you have a Twitch account. We'd absolutely love to have you follow us there as we try to build our numbers on Twitch to be something like they are on Facebook Live and on YouTube, which is where we also stream these shows. So getting right into it, our very first topic tonight is, it's realized as I pick this image, probably not everybody's going to know that is from the season opener of House of the Dragon. The HBO Game of Thrones prequel. The news is that House of the Dragon, after its very first episode, was renewed for a season 2. After this article came up, we discovered, an article was posted about the fact that the second episode, which of course dropped the end of last week, people were worried that the show was going to lose from its almost 10 million record-setting opening original series numbers, and it didn't. It actually went up. It increased 2% in viewership in the second episode, which I haven't seen yet, so no spoilers. Hopefully no spoilers in the chat or Greg. Greg, have you seen it yet? Are you...
I have not. I've been between cons and other photo stuff. I have been watching very little of the tubes. So I'm behind on that and quite a few other things.
Well, it is, in my opinion, so far a really good show. They do an excellent job with the dragons. There are a lot of them, which is pretty interesting. Granted, we only see 3 in the first episode, but which is about the same that you would have ever seen in any episode of the main series.
Yep.
But we know that there is going to be, in this world, there are, I think, more than 20 still functioning at this time when this is set, like 175-ish years before the events of Game of Thrones. But I believe they said you'll see 9 over the course of the series. And it's just
a lot of dragons.
That's a lot of dragons. And the design is really good. It looks like Game of Thrones, but at a time period where the rulers or the former rulers at the beginning of Game of Thrones were at their peak of their power. And there's Byzantine influences and Italian early Renaissance influences in some of the costumes and so on. So it's really good. And Matt Smith is, in one episode, has redeemed himself from the garbage performance he did for Morbius. Oh God.
Oh, that couldn't have been that tough.
Well, yeah, when you're that low, literally any performance would have been better. But it's shocking to me that the same guy who did the villain in Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho did the villain in Morbius, and wow, it's like wow.
It comes down to the writing and the directing and a lot of,
Bingo.
because he's not Patrick Stewart level acting talent, but he's a damn talented actor. He can do a lot of stuff.
Yep.
As ex Doctor Who's go, he's a little bit more one note than some of them. But yeah, I mean, the writing in that was garbage, and Edgar Wright. You probably can't go wrong with an Edgar Wright
Exactly.
property.
Sure, that's a T-shirt slogan for Edgar right there.
Can't go wrong with me.
Exactly. Can't go wrong with Wright. I think.
So I may catch up on a couple episodes this weekend. I am kind of looking forward to it. There's obviously been a lot of think pieces. Think maybe giving them a little too much credit. Filling up digital ink space. An awful lot about costumes, an awful lot about wigs.
Yeah.
The screenshots that I've seen make it pretty clear that they're not spending the kind of budget. And actually read a very interesting kind of opinion piece on Facebook the other day from somebody who has worked in the industry and was specifically talking about Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, and one or two other things. The comparison of like the original Lord of the Rings series, they spent years building the armor, building the prosthetics, building the sets. Now this stuff, they have a super tight timeline because you got to crank out that content. Highlighting like screen printed shirts under fake armor that you can buy on Amazon that, cosplayers would pick up if they, didn't have time to make their own mail.
Yeah. As opposed to Weta Workshop, which made like real mail, real swords.
Yeah.
I read that same article, and honestly, I think that was one of the better ones I've read, because not only did it kind of complain about the look of things, it explained why at a movie production level.
Yeah, it's inside baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty inside baseball, but it's a good read. I can't remember the name of the article or the author.
I don't remember either. But specifically pertaining to House of the Dragon, there's been a lot of spleen venting at the crappy wigs.
Yep.
And it raised the point, like, they don't have the budget to do this. They're cranking this stuff out, and they spent. It didn't go into the exact number, but it literally said tens of thousands of dollars on Emilia Clarke's wigs for Daenerys.
Yeah.
Because every week it was, a different thing, and it was human hair and sourcing, 6 foot long human hair, that's white or can be bleached white, to make wigs out of. It's brutally expensive.
Yeah.
I bought one custom wig for one costume, and I would do it again in a heartbeat because the difference is that substantial, but it's expensive.
Yeah. Now, and so far anyway, in House of the Dragon, and I think this is a thing that's going to be the case, most of the characters are wearing their hairstyle the same. So it's not going to be like Daenerys, where multiple times throughout the course of the season her hairstyle changes. They get one good human hair, lace front, properly made custom long white wig for Matt Smith's character, for Rhys Ifran's character, for all of them, Paddy Considine, and that's it, because the guys aren't going to change their hairstyles that much. But anyway, yeah, inside baseball-y kind of stuff.
A lot of commentary on wigs from two bald guys.
Exactly. Like I know. I don't cosplay.
I
unlike
actually
Greg.
have for different cosplays, I've probably got 3 or 4 really fairly good or decent wigs and a bunch of really mediocre ones, but easily 8 or 10 different wigs from different costumes I've done over the years.
Yep. And I put hats on my head occasionally. So
As do I.
that's my level of expertise, folks. So we're going to get off this not level of expertise.
Okay.
I will just say one thing, though. The minute this dropped, my commentary in our group. Okay. Apparently, Zoom is going to kill us in about 10 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Are you on a...
where I'm not on a pro account, apparently. I have to look into whether or not our payment went through. Which is one of the problems of logging into this thing early to make sure that we're all ready, and I don't have all this time. So, folks, we're going to wrap this up really fast.
Okay, speed round.
Speed round. And we wasted all of that on House of the Dragon. And next topic, Greg's favorite. The animation studio, Laika, has cast Carey Mulligan and Mahershala Ali and Peyton Elizabeth Lee among the newest cast members for their new film coming up called Wildwood. It's an adaptation of apparently a very popular book series. And they join already cast Charlie Day, Awkwafina, Angela Bassett, Jermaine Clement, and Tom Waits. So
I don't even care what the movie is about. I just want Jermaine Clement and Tom Waits to work together.
Yes,
love the idea. And Travis Knight, who's been one of Laika's mainstays for a long time, also directed Bumblebee, which not coincidentally was one of their. I didn't watch any of the Transformers movies after the first one, but by everyone who liked them, said that was far and away the best one since the first one. But it's just a murderer's row of voice talent, and it sounds a little like it's going somewhere between Coraline and Kubo. It's very interesting, deep woods mythology. Kind of got a Brothers Grimm sort of vibe, but with a current twist to it.
Yep.
So, just the one screenshot that they've got that's what do you call it? From a board, not an outtake. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this. I like Laika's stuff. I loved Kubo and the Two Strings. Others, ParaNorman was okay, but this I like the concept, and I this voice cast.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's ridiculous.
All right,
I don't know if you've seen it. Just very briefly, if you haven't, Box Trolls.
I have not.
It's silly and inconsequential, and it's an absurd plot that revolves around cheese and hats. But it's a great voice cast, and it's charming.
And that is also Laika?
Also Laika.
Okay.
Geez, I wish I'd known. I've got a Ghibli shirt on. I should have thrown on one of my many Laika shirts.
There you go. Pre-planning. All right, moving on. Our next topic is, this is, of course, a big brother and a little sister from Bioshock. And the news is that the Bioshock movie at Netflix is going forward because they tapped Francis Lawrence, the director behind the last 3 Hunger Games and the upcoming 4th Hunger Games movie that he directed, the prequel, as the director for this adaptation on Netflix. He also directed Constantine, or Constantine, if you've seen The Sandman, pardon me, and I Am Legend. So I'm looking forward to this. I wish people at Irrational, I wish Ken Levine was involved. There's no indication that he is. But I am looking forward to this.
And one of the main writers, Michael Green, wrote Logan and was a credited screenwriter on Blade Runner 2049. So they've got the potential for some good writing chops on this. And it's such a mythology-rich... I'm assuming that it's just going to be Bioshock 1 and 2. We're not going to... it's going to be in Rapture. It's not going to be in Columbia.
Well, they describe it. They indicate that it has sort of a multiversal aspect. So I'm not sure whether it's going to be just Bioshock 1 and 2.
True. Well, regardless, the entire series and all the DLCs have an incredible, rich mythology behind them.
Yep.
Much of which is very politically charged and very apropos to the moment. So I'd be curious to see whether they lean into that or whether they just kind of make it about running in an underwater tube city with weird monsters.
I hope they lean into it. It's hard to say. With those people, Hunger Games is very much a social and political statement movie, or book series and movies. So, fingers crossed. Also on Netflix, and Greg, you may recognize this photo if you've got the stream up. It'll pop up in about 20 seconds on your stream. Is the news that the guy behind Umbrella Academy's adaptation for Netflix is signed a huge Netflix deal, and in it is developing a series based on Horizon Zero Dawn. And the image on your screen is the amazing Mink the Satyr cosplay as Aloy, shot by the amazing Wonder Llama photography. That guy's really good, even if he has weird colored beards. Anyway, so he is going to be developing that. This is apparently a very early look. Also with Michelle Lovretta, who I don't know anything about really, but will be a co-showrunner. And of course, it is based on the game, the PlayStation game.
Cool.
So
it's funny and not exactly unusual in the kind of conventions we go to and the people we work with and do photography with. I've never played the game, but I have shot literally every character from the game at one point or another. It's like a half dozen different Aloys in different skins, because obviously cosplayers love making creative, unique versions of things. But everyone that's played it absolutely loves it, so it should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like everything, hope they do a decent job and find a way to be pretty faithful to it.
Yep. It sounds like they are going to. The question is, what kind of budget will they have for the special effects? Those giant, robot machine dinosaur, creature things. That's going to cost a little. You know what? We're going to skip over one and go right to. So Warner Brothers Discovery announced that they are moving a ton of movies around. Aquaman 2 is pushed way out to Christmas 2023. Shazam! Fury of the Gods goes from December 2022 to March 2023. And this kills me. They have taken two movies that were supposed to be HBO Max's and put them in for a theatrical release. One is a reboot of, I'm not kidding, House Party. Kid and Play House Party. And they killed Batgirl instead of giving it a theatrical release. I don't get nothing in any of the financial explanations that I've been able to read. The ones that say they're doing this for a reason still can't come up with why you didn't take that movie and put it into a theatrical release. And they're going to do it for House Party.
I wouldn't even begin to guess. That's deep inside baseball. That's back office inside baseball right there. It's someone somewhere, based on everything I've read, it's got to be about what tax credits they get for one versus the other, because by all accounts, nobody at the new company really gives much of a crap about any of the actual programming. It's just about money.
Yeah, but even then, all right, I want to rant, but we got less than a minute.
We'll save that rant for next time.
Right, we'll save that for next time. Sorry for the short show, folks. I'm going to go look into this right afterwards and figure out what the heck happened. And that's it for our show. I'm not even going to bother with our Patreon screen, but I will say go to patreon.com/nerdcaliber if you have a chance and you would like to check it out, we'd love to have you as a patron. 3 tiers, $2 for the bottom tier. Please go check it out if you would. And that said, Greg, give us a goodbye.
Real quick goodbye, everybody. Greg Snyder, Wonder Llama Photography. You can find me at Wonder Llama Photo online. I hope you were able to join in for our lightning round Nerd Week Live, and we'll catch you next week.
Exactly. All right. And that's it for me as well. Please stay safe out there, folks. We'll see you at an upcoming con. We'll have we'll have teams, apparently. And that's it. It doesn't actually give you a countdown.